I only do one take because I get bored with myself. And this one is about the answer is in the question. Some of the people who have valued what I've done with what I call my work or my play, as I think of it, have been remarkably helpful in a way that they probably don't even understand or think of. They ask the right questions. It's pretty simple. One of the first people who interviewed me as a person of advocacy for Parkinson's asked me what my favorite band was. And then he said, no, wait, how about this? Who had more influence on the time? Was it David Byrne of the Talking Heads? Or were you more influenced by Don't Push Me 'Cause I'm Close to the Edge? I'm trying not to lose my head. Versus Watch Out, You Might Get What You're After. Ooh, baby. Strange but not a stranger. There has got to be a way. Burn it down the house. There's so much joy in those two lines of the songs that I grew up with. And he really found the essence of one of my main, I don't know, it's just, I think music is sort of my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my love, my everything. Music is the universal, all-encompassing thing. Julio Torres is one of my favorite comedy writers, and he wrote this great piece for SNL about God creating things. And it shows one of the comedians creates music, and she says, it's this thing, it's not a thing, you can't see it, it doesn't really, it's like, hit me baby one more time, it's Britney bitch, or something like that. It's just, she tries to sample it for God's workshop. This is God's workshop. What would God make? Previously, she had also requested that God make a volcano and tried to describe that. And a clam, it's this little shell. It's sort of like a coin purse, only it has a slime in it with a little gem, a little round iridescent thing. It's just the way that he thinks of the world. Julio Torres is brilliant. He's got a movie coming out. I mean, I'm not saying anything anybody doesn't already know. It's not like I found Julio Torres. Everybody knows who he is by now, He's just great. His deadpan is unparalleled. When he's doing shapes, he's just not, I don't know how this guy keeps from laughing at his own stuff, maybe because he does it so many times. But man, he never gets old for me. Especially the way he describes that nasty little curtain between first class and coach, You have to see Julio Torres shapes. I don't know why I'm going off on this. Probably because it's 4 a.m. and I can't sleep. If you hear rustling in the background, by the way, that is not me. That happens to be my cat. He's very active. Apparently they're nocturnal animals. Who knew a cat was nocturnal? I don't know. I got this little furry cute thing, and all of a sudden he's got these claws, and he's also running around in the wee hours of the morning, keeping me awake. What have I done? I'm just kidding, Finny. You're great. Don't pee on my carpet. So, music makes the people come together. Music makes the bourgeois feel like rebels. Madonna wasn't wrong in that verse. You can be anybody you want when you're listening to a song. And I exchange music lists with people that I like, like the version of the mixtape. I want you to have my mixtape, okay? But the answer's in the question. Here I am with a stream of consciousness, and I just told you I wasn't trying to bore anybody. But I also got another question. A great mind I've just met and really love to talk to asked, what can I do for my friend who has Parkinson's? How can I relate better to him? And, I don't want to say the wrong thing. I don't want to make him feel uncomfortable. What can I do to make our connection a little easier and be the most caring, loving person I can be for my friend? And my first response was, of course, to stay flexible. And we're going to cover this in a podcast, by the way, by the Davis Finney Foundation. The answers to that question are very valuable, I think, to both carers and people with the disease itself. And in truth, everyone has something that doesn't show, that either leaves us feeling wounded, injured, missing something, or perhaps it's your superhuman trait. Perhaps it's the thing that gives you your juice. I don't know. Some people can flip it like that. I can, on occasion, just as much as I could use anger as fuel for my workouts, I could probably flip Parkinson's a little bit and say, hey, it's created a humble person. It's created someone who's probably, or it's allowed me to be more humble. It's allowed me to be more, definitely more compassionate. Although I don't like the word compassion, it's more like relatable. I can look out into the world and view it through the lens of, hey, how is this person suffering, instead of, why would you do that to someone, What is wrong with you? It's not what's wrong with you, it's what's wrong with me that I can't see how badly you're suffering. What's wrong with me that I've taken it personally when you are agitated or when you do something that's hurtful or could be. It's true that people who are suffering aren't usually focused on how they're hurting others. It would be the equivalent of being in massive pain with a kidney stone and wanting to, roll over and curl into a ball and disappear. You're probably not going to be too cautious about what you're saying or someone's feelings in that moment. It won't be your finest hour. Pain changes people. So another question that I've gotten is, how have you changed since diagnosis and since you started feeling pain? And those are two very different things, because diagnosis is much later than the actual symptoms show up. Of course, most people aren't aware of this because they're not looking out for Parkinson's specifically, or MS, or whatever, ataxia, any kind of neurological disorder. There are so many factors in it too. Someone said, just last night, I was at the grocery store and I couldn't get moving. I was just sort of stuck in this very narrow line and blocking people as I perceived it. And the checker said, how long have you had Parkinson's? I couldn't believe she guessed it. And then I realized my shirt said Puck Parkinson's on it. I was like, wow, you're good. She's like, no, it's most people think this is a band, but I'm so glad that you asked, because I don't know how I got Parkinson's or how long I've had it. She did ask, how did I get it? To which I always answer, glyphosate and all that stuff they put in the lawn care. What's up with the lawn worship around upstate New York? I don't get it. Like, people are so worried about their lawns. Man, just let the grass grow. Crabgrass, who cares? I mean, in California, there's such a shortage of water. I've never seen people fixing their lawns so much. Just sit outside, they measure it. It looks like this one guy's always outside. Maybe it's therapy. I'm thinking perhaps that's the new gardening. Or I prefer some wildflowers and lots of cool plants. And sometimes weeds can be pretty. They'll take over, it's true. I do like to weed. I do like to bend over and weed and just show my neighbors my butt. It's just great. Or crouch down on a little pad, which I always forget to bring out, and then I hurt my knees. And I never have my gloves with me, and I always tear up my hands. And my hands look like a very rough version of an MMA fighter, of course. Helen Keller does my nails. I'm going to hell for that comment. So, the other question that I got that was great was, why are you sometimes stiff and other times shaking? And when you're stiff, you can't move it at all. What happens? This was from a 7-year-old, the granddaughter of one of my very good friends who I just adore. I want the kids, though. Secretly, it's like, hey, just leave your kids here. We want to play. Get out of here. Scram. We want to play puzzles and stuff. I'm on their level always. So when they ask me a question, I listen. Because they're great questions. Kids are curious. They're always great. And when parents grab their kid back from staring at me if I have an episode in public, I mean, it's not like I'm having an epileptic fit, but it sure is noticeable when I get dyskinetic. I mean, I'm not exactly small in a room to begin with, you know. There's something about energetic fields, I think. But they always chastise their kid, and I can see them out of the corner of my eye, and I want to say, no, please. Let them ask those questions. They're great. I've been waiting for this moment. Just let them ask. I would love to talk with your child about Parkinson's for a moment. But of course, stranger danger, you know, and they don't know what someone's going to say. They have no idea. I went to play a funny song for these kids, and I forgot to get the clean version, you know. Things like that come up when you're with kids. You have to be careful. I can't swear like a sailor. Darn it all. Oh, shucks. We did go snipe hunting, which they asked about as well. But in response to their question, why are you sometimes stiff or shaky? Here comes the kitty. I answered clearly, because my medication schedule is not consistent. This disease is not consistent. When I don't have enough dopamine in my system, which is now delivered by an agonist in the size of a tiny little pill, maybe 4 centimeters across, crushing that up or taking a few of those usually helps. When I don't have these agonists in my system, I can't move because I need dopamine. I need the boats to dock is what I ended up telling them. I tried to explain it as a series of transports, like a highway or a waterway, where boats need to come in and dock and unload their goods. Mine can't get to the dock. So it's not that I don't have any boats. I have a couple boats left, but they ain't docking. You know, it's very difficult to describe neurology to children. I'm a child, apparently, because I don't even really understand half of what's going on. More than half. I like to follow various neurologists and ask them the questions and let them ponder it over and help me out. There are brilliant minds among us. There's so many great researchers. There are researchers getting up around the world at this hour. And many of them, like as in London, they've been working for a while by now. But it's amazing what they have done. There's a remarkable geneticist who's living in Florida. And my friend from UK talks to him a lot. And so vicariously, I feel like I know this person a little bit. But one thing I have noticed is that their research is always spot on. There is a genetic component to my Parkinson's. I can't speak for everyone. But in my family, it was either underdiagnosed or not noticed or chalked up to old age. I watched my grandfather get increasingly stiff. He didn't know what was going on. I watched his behavior change. Classic Parkinson's. He became more aggressive, more out there, more... I'm calling myself out here. Not everybody has the same Parkinson's, by the way, so don't get insulted if I start talking about Parkinson's in a particular way. It's just my experience. By the way, that's my disclaimer for today. But I remember asking my grandfather some questions. And he wasn't very good at hearing for a number of reasons. But he did say once that he felt like he was being held down or underwater. Same description. Encased in wet concrete that was quickly drying. That's how I feel. So, to be a good friend to Parkinson's, or not to Parkinson's, but to someone who lives with it, you can hate the player if you want, but I would probably hate the platform, hate the disease itself. It's an awful thing. And thank you to the researchers who are working around the clock to solve this riddle. Another researcher I favor is one that says it starts in the gut. It most certainly did for me as well. The lining of the gut meaning the intestines, the duodenum, the stomach. I'm probably not saying these words correctly, but you get the idea. That whole system is so important. We make serotonin and dopamine there too. It's your second brain. It's so important. Don't underestimate the value of having a very well-run machine in your digestive system. And back to music. If you really want to hear some cool playlists, you might want to check out Spotify. Got some cool stuff on there. Most of them are public. I make them for friends and whoever. And if I fancy you, maybe I'll make you a playlist. All right then. Thank you so much for listening, and I hope you have a great day. And thanks for asking. That's Cary Tennis, by the way. Thanks for asking. He was a great writer for Salon.com. Still is. He's the best. I miss that guy. Hey, Cary Tennis, if you're out there, this one's for you. Talk soon.